Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Unshakable Co-Parent podcast, where I talk about all things co-parenting and parenting, especially in high conflict situations. So this is the first episode of the year 2024, so happy new year to you. Today is going to be a very quick episode, just a few messages, a few things that have been on my heart, and some few things I want to share with you about having an intentional year. I'm not into the whole cheese ball setting New Year's resolutions, but I am super intentional with the things that I do and don't do, decide not to do, and just a few messages on how to be intentional this year so that basically this time next year, you are miles away from where you are right now. So grab yourself a tea, coffee, wine, depending on what time you're listening, and let's get started. So I don't know if you set New Year's resolutions. I'm not a New Year's resolution kind of person. I usually set goals and are very intentional with my actions. Not all the time. I'm not a robot. But 95% of the time I have a plan, I have a strategy, and I don't really do things without intention, no matter what it is. And I know a lot of the time when we do not know where we're headed or what we're doing or what we want, then it's really hard to be intentional, because what are you being intentional about? I mean, you can be intentional about sitting on the couch and binging Netflix or scrolling on Instagram. That can be your intention. Not that you're consciously setting that as your intention, but your actions are setting the intention for you, because that's what you're choosing to do with your time and your energy. There is nothing wrong with mindlessly scrolling. We just need to be really careful about when and how, and also what we're looking at, what we're consuming. Is it growing me? Is it making me bigger? Is it making me smaller? Is it helping or is it hindering? Being super intentional with who you spend time with, who has access to you. Yeah. Sometimes, especially when we've grown up to be good girl people pleasers, we take it for granted that anyone who wants something from you gets it. No. That is not the case. That changes right now. Draw a line in the sand, because not everybody gets access to you, and not everybody should have access to you and your time and your resources, whatever it may be. Okay, obviously as mums, we are there to serve our children, but it's super important for us to look after ourselves and be intentional with who gets our energy or where our energy even goes. And like I said earlier, scrolling on Instagram, or looking at YouTube shorts and getting absorbed into other people's lives instead of cultivating the life that you want. There are things like that we can really mindlessly do, and there's nothing wrong with it, but there needs to be limits, and we need to also be living our own lives intentionally in equal parts, rather than getting involved in maybe what other people are doing. My intentions for this year, just really to bunker down, focus on growing, focus on evolving, reaching my goals. My goals are always changing. I'm always growing, always evolving, just like everyone else. I have a big picture plan. I have short-term goals, long-term goals. And, it's a balancing act of also staying present, staying with the here and the now. Where are you now? What's happening now? Who's around me now? Rather than thinking too much into the future, and equally thinking too much into the past. If we're thinking in the past, we feel stuck. So maybe ask yourself the question, am I too much in the past? We may also feel stuck or anxious or frustrated if we're too much in the future, like what's going to happen with X, Y, Z? What's going to happen? What if this? What if that? It's always interesting when I see that in my comments on Instagram. I may make a statement about something and there's a comment that comes up, what if? And I find that, it's one of my quirks that I'm like, what could it be this time? What block has this person got? Because there are no what if questions. If we ask that question, you're never going to find a solution to anything whatsoever in your life, and nothing will change. So it's more like asking the right question. So maybe be intentional with asking yourself the right questions. Because if we ask ourselves the wrong questions, we're going to get the wrong answers. we're not going to know they're the wrong answers. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. Be super intentional with your actions. Be super intentional with your energy. Be super intentional with what you want and where you're going and how you're going to go and make that happen. We don't have to have all the answers. Most of the times we don't know the how, but if you have some kind of vision, if you have a bit of a plan, the how presents itself every single time. But when we go around aimlessly, stuck in cycles and stuck in circles, no answer comes. We are not inspired by anything because we are not looking. We're not looking at the right resources, the right people, because if we don't know how to do something with anything, you find someone who can. Your tap's leaking. You could tackle it yourself, or you could just pay someone who is an expert in fixing taps, like a plumber, who can fix it for you. Or you can watch a ton of YouTube videos and work it out for yourself. It's really up to you. But usually when we don't know something, we need to find someone, either learn the skill ourselves or find someone who knows. It's going to save us a lot of time, energy, and money to do that. So we don't have to have all the answers. So going into 2024, I want you to, hand on heart, really dig into yourself and think about what you can visualize for yourself, or what you want to visualize for yourself and for your children, and the life that you want to live. And then go and make it happen. And if you don't know how to make it happen, you find someone who does know how to make it happen to help you. You get the resources to help you, get the people in place to help you. Okay, because truly, if we do not change, as in change what we're doing, then literally nothing does change. And that's why some people stay stuck year after year after year, and there's no progress, there is no change, and they're stuck in a cycle, stuck in a loop. And that's a really unfortunate place to be, especially when you're unaware, and especially when you're unaware that you hold the key to ending that cycle. Okay? Be intentional with your decisions. Be intentional with where you're going. Be intentional with who you spend time with. Be intentional with what you consume. Be intentional with the decisions you make, what you put in your mind, what you listen to. And think about some of your behaviors or patterns or programs that are not in alignment with where you want to be. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that you are the best mum for your children. However, I've said this before many times, being a great mum is not enough when you have a high conflict co-parent. Okay? You need to do something more, you need to do something different, and it's not more mumming. It's not more loving. Okay? So I'm going to leave you with that. It's going to be a wonderful year for everybody. I can feel it. Shifts are coming for women globally around the world. I can feel it. I sense it. It's happening for us. I don't know how, but slowly people are starting to wake up to this. Women are starting to step into their power one by one in different capacities, obviously. But if you feel it, I would love to hear from you. Let me know. Send me a DM over at Unshakable Co-Parenting. Also, your thoughts on this podcast episode. I'm wishing you the most abundant, peaceful, elevating, growth year ever in your life, because last year, I think for a lot of people, was very hard. For me, it was a good year, but it was kind of like a double-edged sword. It was a good year and equally not a good year in some ways, lots of challenges. But, we will get there. So if this resonated with you, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you could be so kind as to give a review, that would be wonderful, so that this gets to more people. Also share this episode with 3 friends who you think this will resonate with and who need to hear this. Also, just one last thing, and it's not easy to do. I know this, it's a process, and it's a lot of deep inner work to get to this place. But the moment you stop caring what other people think of you, not just your co-parent, anyone, the moment you stop judging yourself based on what you think other people think of you, that is where you start to set yourself free, and literally the blinkers come off and everything's shiny and new, and it really is yours for the taking. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. Take care of yourself. Much love, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.